resume. Okay, so I will need to repeat for somebody who didn't, who will be watching this. Okay, so let me go back. Let me remove my project. Let me close VS Code. Let me remove this. Move to trash. So, okay. So if you will be guys starting, you will need just this guide. You will need prerequisites for that. And once you have prerequisites, you're good to go. And you start with step number 1, which is create a folder for storing the automation project and open it with VS Code. So first of all, let's create a folder. I'm suggesting you to have projects folder, like for storing all the projects that we may have. And then inside, you create a folder for your test automation. So let me create my new folder, and I will call it free test automation. Do not use uppercase, do not use special characters, just replace spaces by dashes, and that's it, and lowercase only, just to avoid problems in the future. So yeah, so what you need is projects folder, and then some folder for your current project, which is test automation, in that folder. So that's it. This is the first step. The second step is open VS Code. VS Code. On Windows, you need to click File, Open Folder. On Mac, just File, Open. And you need to go to your projects folder and just select this animation project. Just do not open it, just select and click Open. So you will see similar picture. You will see empty folder over here. You will see empty area over here. And the next step you need to do is open terminal, which is terminal and new terminal. If you have Windows, it's better to switch to Git Bash. You may not have it because I forgot to include Git over here. If you don't have it, you can find on our channel, there is a Git installation guide as well. There is a video for installing Git. I will probably add it after the lesson, so you have Git here as well. And once you install Git, you will see Git Bash in the list as well. So what you need to do if you are on Windows machine and you have, by default, you will have something like PowerShell or probably command line. Let's call it command line, right? And that what you need to do is you click this arrow pointing down, then select default profile. And here you need to select Bash or Git Bash in your case. And that's it. It will start working. You will open that terminal with Bash and you're good to go. All the commands will work once we do that. Okay, so now let's move to step number 2 and first one. Section number 2, step number 1. Let's initialize our Node.js project. So let's copy, paste. You should be able to see package.json. Then let's install our WebDriver.io framework. So you need to run this command, copy, paste, and then just click enter. It will install everything, and you just need to wait till the end of the installation. As you can see, there will be folder node modules, and it will contain multiple modules because WebDriver.io is not a single module. It's just a module that requires many other modules. So as you can see in node modules, there are a lot of modules installed. One module that we need, WebDriver.io, and many others that WebDriver.io requires itself, right, to do its job. Okay, and let's now we have WebDriver.io, but now we need to configure it to create a configuration. What to run, where to run, what website to test, and so on. So what we need to do is run this command. Actually, you can click over here on the right. It will copy this command automatically. Just click, copy it, and then you can paste it right away and click enter. So this command runs the configuration guide, configuration helper. And here you are not able to navigate through mouse, right? You're able to navigate through keyboard. So you need to click up, down to navigate through these guys. And so as you can see, the first thing that you need to select is my local machine. This is what we're going to select on my local machine and click enter. Okay, the framework we're going to use is Mocha. So make sure Mocha is selected and click enter. Then here, we need to select Babel compiler. So make sure the Babel is selected and click enter. Then our specs will be, by default, this is the location, but we need to have another one. So just copy this one, copy this location, copy, paste, and click enter. Okay, move this back. And let me open chat, just in case to see. Okay, like this. Next command, do we want WebDriver to auto-generate some test files? We don't need them. We will create on our own. So select N. Here, we just need to have spec reporter. So the navigation here is a little bit different. You need to select, click space for selecting, right? So make sure just only spec selected, nothing else, and just click enter. It should be by default, but just make sure. So spec is the only one selected, and just click enter. Here we select Chrome driver, so it will be selected by default, but if in your case it's not selected by default, make sure Chrome driver is selected. So navigating arrow up or down and selecting space, selecting and selecting space, and if selected, just click enter. Okay, so this is the base URL that we're going to test. This is actually our website that we're going to test. Just copy this from guide. This is actually the link to our test application that you were testing manually in scope of bug reporting and test planning. So, and just paste this URL and click enter. And that's it. That should be enough for the initial configuration. And WebDriver, you will start installing all needed modules and everything else. So we just need to wait till the end of the installation. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Once everything is installed successfully, one more module that we need to install is sync module. That will make our life easier. That will run all the commands in sync mode. So we just need to copy it and paste and click enter. It will install everything, and that's it. Actually, we don't need to install anything else. So we already configured whatever we needed. So next thing that we need to do is finally we need to create our first test. So what we need to do is step number 5, create test folder. So over here, just in root directory, you do right click, and new file, a new folder, and let's call it test. Oh, something new folder, test. I don't know why I moved. Okay, test, then test.js inside. So you need to do right click, new file, right click on this folder, new file, and call it test.js. Enter. Okay. And we just need to copy the following code. It's like basic code, and I will explain what that means. Just copy and paste this content into this file. Okay, Nadia, are you able to follow me?
I'm a bit behind. So I'm having troubles at the last configuration. What is the base URL? It says localhost, and it's installing some packages. So how do I change that?
So you left it as localhost, right?
Yeah, accidentally, and I don't know how to go back to it right now to change.
Fine. So yeah, what it does, it just installs the install the modules and creates the configuration file over here. So you can open this wdo-config.js. There will be a lot of comments, but what you need to do is you need to scroll until you see base URL. base URL. And here you just replace that localhost value by this value. And pay attention that this is a string. So it should start with a quote and end with a quote. If you remove a quote, it will right away break everything. So make sure just the value is string and you have quoted it. So you just can copy this, copy, and just, for example, paste. If you have localhost over here, let's say, you can just paste it inside in those quotes. It should be quote. And that's it. That will fix everything. Okay. Let me know if you're done with this. Nadia?
Yes, I'm done. I found it. Okay, so I changed.
You just replace localhost by this one. So we can actually even fix this if you forgot, right? Because it's also over here at the top specs. So this is configuration file, and we can change some things over here. Okay, sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah, so let's get back to our test folder and test.js file. Did you create that? Okay, then if no, then no. That means yes. That means that you have created. Okay, so what this is actually Mocha syntaxes. It's called Mocha syntaxes, and it's nothing else just test suites and tests, and that's it. So this is just the way how to create tests in test automation. It's very popular. It's used by many test automation frameworks, not only by WebDriver.io. So describe is this is where describe starts, and this is when it ends, and everything else is inside of it. So if I remove this, this is how it looks like. So you have describe, and you have before, and you have it. So you're not going to create it from scratch. For example, if you would like to create another test, you just copy and paste the entire file. Copy and paste the entire file, and you just change it. You change the name of the test suite. You change the name of the test. You remove extra tests that you don't need, right, and so on. You change the title of the test. You remove the commands because you will be replacing them by other commands. So you're not going to write it from the scratch. I'm not writing this the describes and it's from scratch. I am just copying and pasting. If you need to, for example, to have multiple describes in a single test, then you just copy the entire describe, few line breaks, copy, and you have one describe, second describe. What is describe again? This is test suite, like a set of tests. And inside you have before, you put the commands to prepare before the test, and then single it is a single test. For example, you test the title, you use the command to test the title. If you test the URL, you create another it and paste the command to test the URL. If you need one more it, you copy, paste, rename it. This is the name of the test. Let's say you test the title location on our website. So let me open the website. For example, this website we're going to test, we have a location, right? We have value of this title. We have the title is present, that it's displayed, and so on. So everything is a single test, and we're going to have it as a single test. According to our requirements, we had test cases. Remember, right? We were testing that title is present, title has correct value, title has 3 lines, and so on, right? We were testing all of that, that the image is present, that the image size is correct, and so on. And clicking the button and everything else. So all of that was a separate test. So everything you will be testing should be in a separate it, because it is a separate test. If you need another it, you again copy, paste, remove the command, and just replace it. So, and replace the title, for example, title value or title text, whatever, how it's called, title text, for example. And then you need some method to test it. So first of all, let's remove this describe. Let's make it clean. So what we're doing here, actually, in this test, so we have just page, it's called test set, called page. We have one before, which is preparation before the test. For example, you put everything that prepares your test. For example, your goal in this case to test my account page. Let's say you are a user, you need to log into the system and then go to your my account page and then test it, right? So you put everything that prepares that test, which is opening the website, logging, opening my account page, you put it in before. All those commands that will prepare your test, you put in before. Before is just like function to prepare your test. And then once you start testing, executing your first test case, check that something is present on the page. You create it. Then you need to test something else, you add another it. You need to test something else, you copy, paste, and add another it. And it by it by it. So you tested all of that. For example, you tested that elements are present. Then you need to test something else. For example, element values. You may create another describe and copy, just paste it below, remove unnecessary tests, and call it values, right? And then you need to test functionality. You may create another describe and call it functionality. And all of that, you're just testing a single page, right? And so on. So this is how you just create your test cases structure, and that's it. The only purpose and the only goal that why you're using this syntaxes is just to have your test cases structure, and that's it. This is how you structure your test cases in your spreadsheet. If you have in your spreadsheet, you have multiple sections. You broke down your test cases to some logical sections. That's how you do this here as well. So you create describe, it's a set of tests. You put everything what is preparation to before, and every single test you put in it. That's it. Next thing that you probably have questions about is how to actually test something, how to open the website, how to check the title is correct, how to check that URL is correct, and so on, right? How to do that actually. It's very easy. You go to WebDriver.io website. So let me copy the link for you and paste it in the chat. So this is why WebDriver.io is very useful, because you don't have to create everything from scratch, like send complex commands, because previously commands to browser, they were huge. Like you have to send huge command saying that type of action, it's a click or set value or move mouse or hover or whatever, the type of the command. Then you send another key which says, okay, the element ID you're sending that to, the browser name, and blah, blah, and many other things, like a huge command. So what these guys did, they took those complex command and says, okay, if I send the click command, I send this huge, big object to my browser. Instead, let's simplify it. Let's take that huge command, put it in a function, and let's call that function something like click, right? So our users, when they download our framework, what they need to do, they just need to say this element and then dot click, and it will click that element. That's all we need. And we, under the hood, in our framework, we will send that complex command to a browser. So right now, for you as a developer, you don't have to create those complex command and everything from scratch. You just used predefined methods they created. So if you open WebDriver.io, let me send it to the chat. Oh, where's the chat? WebDriver.io framework, video website. Okay, so what you need to do now, you just go to API, for example, and they have a bunch of different commands over here. They broken down to some logical sections. So for example, browser, it's a browser level command. For example, I need to take a browser level method that will check my tab title. This is the tab title, right? The title of my tab that I open website in, and the URL. It doesn't belong to this specific page or to this specific element. It belongs to like the entire browser, the entire tab. So I will be using browser level commands for that. For example, I need to delete cookies. It doesn't belong to a specific element. It belongs to the browser in general. So, or getting the window size, or clicking the keys on the keyboard, right? Or whatever you would like to do that is not related to specific single element, for example, button or a field, you use browser level commands. And for example, here I need to go to URL, so browser URL. So this command just navigates browser to a specific URL. So for example, and here are the examples, right? So we use synchronous mode, so we'll be seeing this. So what I need to do to go to specific command, you just do this, browser URL, and then the URL that I'm going to. And this is what exactly we have over here. So if I open my VS Code, you see browser URL and slash. What slash actually means? You say, oh, you're not going anywhere, you're just going to slash. No, actually, we're going to base URL. So it will use base URL and we'll just add slash at the end. So actually, we are just going to this base URL that we configured. And that's it. This is how it will open that URL. So this is one first step. In order to test something, I need to open that URL. The next simple command is actually not doing anything. It's just checking. I'm using expect. Expect is used to compare actual result with expected. And this is exactly what you're doing in manual job, right? You're running your test cases and comparing expected result with what you actually see in a browser, in your application. So on the right side is expected result, right? I just define that, okay, I expect browser to have title text start. And again, where I get this command, I go to API, I go to expect, and I just search whatever I need to check. So again, this is browser level. This doesn't belong to specific element. So either it's to have URL, no, I need to check title. So here's the title, right? Either title, to have title is strict comparison, which is, should be exactly this, or it should be to have title containing, which means it should be containing, the title should be containing this text, not be equal to it, but just containing. For example, if your website called Vlad Kravchuk, for example, you may say, I expect my website to have title containing Vlad, right? It may be Kravchuk, it may be anything else, but I need it to contain Vlad, right? So you will use title containing command. But if you need to check title, you use to have title. And it's, again, pretty simple. You just copy it from here, right? They even show us the usage. You go to the URL and then you say, expect browser to have title, to have title over here, to have title, right? And you put the title of that website in here. In our case, it's text start. So we put that actually in there. So we say expect browser to have title text start. Same with URL. Expect browser to have this URL. And as you can see, the URL is different from base URL, because what happens once you go to this base URL, our application automatically redirects you to line and patient, right? And this is what is what expected. So you will actually check that it will redirect us to line patient URL, which is absolutely expected. Okay. So this is good. So we have this. So we have this first test, and then that's it. For example, now you need to do something else. For example, to check that this element has this specific text, right? So you go here and you start searching. Okay, element matchers. So you may check that some element is to be displayed. You expect some element to be displayed. If you need to check that this element needs to be displayed, you can use it. You can use that command, which is good. So whatever to be exist, to be present, to have some specific attribute if you're checking, to have value, for example, right? Or to have text, You have some element, which is this, for example, right? That we're testing, this one. And you expect this specific text over here. You just take and say, hey, expect this element to have text or to have this text, whatever, right? And so on. So this is actually how it works. Okay. What is this? Okay. And yeah, and all of to be selected, to have URL, to be clickable or to be disabled or enabled, right? And so on. So you use these checkers or yeah. Or if you need to do something specific, these guys are checking, but if you just need to click, for example, or add text to some field, you go to elements on the left. And as you can see, click. You can clear value from the field. You can add value to the field. You can drag and drop something. You can get location. You can get size. You can get text. Check if it's clickable, displayed, existing, focused, selected. You can move mouse to something and whatever. I'm not using like maybe probably 80% of them. The most probably used methods are click, because you often need to click something, and probably getting text to check the value of some element. Whatever. Scroll into view sometimes if you need to scroll your browser. And set value to enter the text to the input field. For example, username, password, your first name, last name, date of birth, and so on. Yeah, so you use the set value method. And I never used like most of them, but you have these commands. If you need to do something specific, you just use these commands, and that's it. So this is actually what you do most of the time. You just create different test sets, which are the scribes. Prepare your test with before, which is browser URL. Then you use command set value to set your username, set value to set your password, then click the button, and then you are logged in. And then you, for example, start testing. So you create your first it and test that some element is present. You say expect browser element to be displayed, expect another element to be displayed, and so on. You add more tests, copy and paste commands from this website, search for them, whatever you need to do. If you need to do something with browser, you go to browser. If you need to do something with the element, you go to element. If you need to compare something, which is actual and expected, you go to expect. That's it. This is how cool this framework is, because they created all those commands for you. Of course, behind, under the hood, there are very complex commands that do complex calculations, send complex commands to the browser, get responses from browser. But this is what they did. They created those simple methods, simple functions for you, and you just copy, paste them, and just use them whatever you need. Okay, so let's follow our guide, because we are almost done. So in order to run our first test, what you need to do is just run this command. So go to step number 6 in section number 2. And this is the command that you need to run to see how it's running. So let's copy, paste, and click enter. It should open the browser and navigate to that URL and check the tab title and check the URL is correct. It should be super quick, yeah, because 1.5 seconds. It took 1.5 seconds. What it did, it just navigated to this URL and then tested 2 tests, which is checking that the browser tab has this title, right? It is text start. And also it was checking that URL is equal to this, the whole URL, line and patient, right? And it checked and it passed. As you can see, we see the report over here. We have the page, which is the name of our describe. And you see that tests are shifted to the right? So you can visually see that this is my test, this is my test. So, and all those titles, they appear in the report. So you can see the title, test passed, you have check mark, and URL test also passed. Actually, let me simulate the failure. So I will add a space over here, for example. So text start with space. What will happen? You don't have to type the command again. What you can do is you can click on the keyboard up. If you click up, down, you can navigate through your previous commands, right? I can navigate through my previous commands, as you can see. So I can click one time up. I have my previous command and I click enter. So I run my test again. And now I just changed the expected result. So it's trying right now, as you can see, it's trying to match the title. It's not matching, but it will be trying until it completely fails. It has some time when it's failing, like probably 10 seconds in configuration. Yeah, it's 10,000 milliseconds. So it's 10 seconds. 10 seconds, it's trying to check whether it's matching or not. It tried for 10 seconds, it didn't match, so it completely failed, and it's showing the difference. As you can see, it is showing that this is the difference. This is what you expected. Actually, this is what I'm expected because I provided this as expected result, and this is what you get, what received. And this is the difference between them, and the test failed. And this is how it works. You just put the expected result in your methods, and you're running your test. And if you're getting actual result, which is different from expected, your test will fail. And that's it. This is how simple it is. Okay, so we have this command, but writing this command all the times is yeah, it's probably, first of all, it's complex command. You're not able to remember it right away. So right, you have to probably copy and paste it all the times, store it. So there is a way to have like predefined scripts that you can run. So you can just go to package.json and replace test scripts. So what I'm suggesting, just copy this line. And if you go to package.json file, it's here, package.json, you will see the test script over here, test script. So you can just select it and click and paste it, like replace it by this test script, right? And now there is a short way, like a shortcut to run this script, which is npm run test. And you can have many tests over here. You can have another script. You put comma, you create another script. You can call it differently. For example, let me say I would like to call it load, load something, right? And I have some load something, and I need to load something. So I have some another script, like maybe install something, npm install or whatever, any other script that is complex enough that and it's long to type every time. So I just put it over here, and every time I just do npm run and the name of the script. So I can have like long script over here, but every time I know that for that I have test script. So npm run and the name of the script. In our case, it's test or load, right? Or whatever, anything else. Actually, test script has it's like built-in script, and it has a shortcut. So there is even a shorter way. It's npm t. So you can run the test right now by using npm t. So npm t, click enter, and it will, as you can see, it's running this command that we just put it into. I will show you over here. So I typed npm t. So it went, as you can see, to my test automation package.json and run test command. And inside we have this complex command. So instead of running this all the times, I'm just saying npmt. Every time it will run any command I put into it. I have another command. I can have npm run another command, and it will run that command that is inside of that script. So this is actually cool thing as well, because you can create complex scripts. You can put them in here and use a simple name for it. And every time you need to run that complex script, you just run that simple name, like npm run test, npm run load, npm run download, npm run, I don't know, report, npm run install, and whatever, right? So you have all of that over here. Good. So this case, everything passed, right? Everything is matching, and everything is passed. Okay, got to good. So this is it. Let me see if anything else. Yes, everything is here, and there are just few links that you need to do, and you need to use to continue your testing. So I also copied a few common commands, like the most used commands in WebDriver.io that you can just copy, just have it handy and use it. For example, right? Browser URL and go to that URL. Browser element click, and you click some element. So what we have here, WebDriver.io API reference is actually leading to this website, to this page, to API. And here you have expect, again, to compare actual and expected. You have browser commands to do something with browser level things. If you're doing something with the element, you need to go to the element section, right? And then let's try something. Let's try to do something. Let's go to our website and let's see. For example, I would like to create another describe. So I have this first describe, and I'm testing page level, right? So everything I'm testing here is a page level tests. I'm just checking title and I'm checking URL, and that's it. Everything else is element level, because I'm going to test that this specific element is displayed, that this specific element is displayed, this specific element is displayed, and this button is displayed, which is also an element. So this is, I will need to use element commands now. Okay, so let me then go back. Let me copy the entire describe. Let me paste it. And let's call it elements displayed. I will checking that elements are displayed. Okay, so I don't need to go anywhere because I went. So browser will be open once per one single test, per one single file. So if you have this file and you run this command, browser will be open, and it will be closed once you're done all the tests, right? Automatically. So you don't have to like close it. It will be closed automatically. So, and if I even have multiple describes, my browser will remain open. So if I open the browser in this before, I don't need to open it again. So that's why I removed before, because it will open browser in here, then it will check title, it will check URL, and it will remain open. So I will just navigate to another describe where I will be checking something else. So I will remove this test. So first thing that we're going to check is called line title, right? This is the line title. I will call it line title. And we need to check that it's displayed. So our suite, in this suite, this test set, we'll be checking that our elements are present, are displayed. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to navigate to expect, because expect has that to be displayed. So as you can see, there are two lines. Const element, and I'm creating the element. This command will be looking the element on the website, and I'm going to explain to you how it works. And this command will check that that element is actually displayed. So let me copy this. And what I need actually to do is just replace this part by my element. Okay, let me copy. Let me just go to my VS Code. Okay, paste it. And here I need to put the element selector for my title, for my line title. So what will happen? This function will find my element, will put it in this element variable, and then I will just expect this element to be displayed. That's it. This is how simple this function is, and all those functions on this WebDriver website, right? This is how it works, and everything is very simple. So you just use this simple command to check that something is displayed, and you just check that something is to be focused. For example, some input field can be focused. When you put your cursor into that field, it will have focus. And in order to check that it actually has a focus, you just run this command, which is pretty cool and pretty easy. You don't have to be like super developer. You just actually copy the command, paste it, and use it. And that's it. Okay, so how to find that element? Because right now it's a placeholder. It's not the element. That's why you have this link over here, CSS Selectors Guide. You have it over here. If you open it, don't worry about this piece of code. What you are interested in is just this part, this yellow part, because this is what you will actually need to copy and paste into your code. This is how it's used over here. So you paste it over here, and this is what we are interested in. So actually, you can find elements on the page by many things. So let's go first over here, and let me do right-click on my element and do inspect. So you will see the Chrome developers tools. This is for developers to inspect the elements, to find them on the page, to see their properties, their styles, and so on. You can also navigate to probably view, developer and developer tools, or shortcut right here, right? So you can do both, or I usually do inspect, right-click inspect, and you can select this element. You can hover over the element and just click on it, right? So it selected this element. This is the element I'm selecting. It will select it. So how you can find this element on the page? Element, as you can see, this is div, just simple tag, HTML tag that has text inside, right? Div that has text inside, and that's it, nothing else. And it has some properties, which is ID, style, and it may be multiple other. For example, this class, it's a class, and so on, right? So in this case, it has a source, src, right, and so on. Multiple different attributes over here. So actually, this is how we look for the element. Of course, the best way is ID. ID is like must have. If you have a project and this is good project, all elements should have ID. This is actually our headache, our automation headache, because mostly we don't have IDs, unfortunately. Developers rarely create IDs, but this is the best practices. So what I usually do when I come to the project, I say, guys, the first thing that you will need to help me with is to start creating IDs for every element, especially if that element is active, that I will be checking and interacting with. It's a must-have. Whatever you create something new, create IDs for all the elements, because this is the best way for me to find those elements. And if you go to the CSS Selector Guide, you will see that how you can find the elements by IDs. So you put pound key and ID value. If there is unique class that element has, it's only unique if that class is unique. So you're looking for something unique. IDs are unique by default, right? If you have ID, it should be unique for every element. So it's like the best way by default, because ID is unique. Class, unfortunately, is not unique, but in case if it's unique for this element on this page, you can also use it. But you need to put dot and the class name. That's how you will be able to find your element. And there are many other ways to do that, right? There are like, for example, like if you have a unique combination of two elements, like A inside div, like A is direct child of div. There is no such combination on your page, just accept this one. So you can use this combination, this selector, as unique one to find that unique element. If it's not unique, it will just find the first one, which is not working for you, and so on. I'm not I don't know all of them. I just, whenever I need to find something, I just go to this guide and read it and try to use something. For example, if something is disabled, right, or something labeled or visited or focused and blah, blah, blah. So there are a lot of things displaying, is saying what you need to use. In case if you would like to find some specific unique combination of the elements or attributes they have, for example, let me show you something. For example, over here, if some element has some specific attribute, which is href, and it's equal to this. If there is an element that has this unique attribute with this unique value, you can find your element by this command, and so on. But in our case, most of the elements, they have ID, so it's pretty simple. So what I need to do, I scroll up. By ID is the easiest one. I just use pound, and I use the ID value. So let's try to do that. So this element has this ID, line title, ID equal to line title. So I just double click on it, copy, and I go to my code. So in order to find this element, I need to have pound sign and the value of ID, which is like this. So ID find, so this right now, this means find element with ID line title. So this command will find that element if it's present, of course, and put it into this variable, and then I will expect this element to be displayed. So actually, let's try. Let's try to run my test and see if it works. So it's running. It will test title and URL as well. And yes, as you can see, line title is displayed. So let me create another. As you can see, I'm not typing it from scratch. I'm just copying and pasting. So you don't have to understand how it works. You don't have to understand the syntaxes. What you need to do, just copy, paste, remove the command. Oh, actually, you don't have to remove the command because you're going to check that another element is displayed. So what you're going to do is just check, replace the selector, but the command will be the same. Find the element and check that it's displayed. So just element selector will be different, and the name of the test will be different. So line image, right? The next thing that we're going to check is line image. This is what I'm going to check. So can you help me? So I'm clicking this, I'm selecting this element, click on it. Okay. Does this element has ID or not that I can use? Nadia, does this element have ID or not?
You mean like the people that you selected, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I'm selecting this image, and I'm checking if this element has ID. Do you see it on the screen?
I'm not sure now.
Yes, as you can see, when I selected the element, it's also highlighted over here in the code, right? So I select this, it's highlighted over here.
Okay.
If I select this, it's highlighted over here. So does it have ID?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you. Does it have ID?
Yes, the image have ID, if I'm right.
Yes, it
Line
has
image,
ID.
yeah.
Yeah, this is the tag that's used for images in HTML. It says img, and it has ID over here. This is the value of the ID. But as you can see, it has other unique things that, for example, src is this equal to this. Anything else probably doesn't have this attribute, and it has alternative text. Alternative text is used when an image is not displayed, and you will see just the box with this text, get in line. So and it has width as well. So I can use actually not only ID. If I don't have ID, I can use this attribute because it's unique. This attribute is unique. Any other elements, they don't have such attributes, so I can use it as unique attribute that I can find element by. So let's actually do that. So if I have this attribute, so how can I find my element? Let me try to scroll and see. Yeah, you will find it in the list, but I will show you how to do that. So you will need to find when it says element attribute. Oh, for example, over here, getting element attribute. So here, right? So if you have element tag, this is the EMG, we replace P because in this case it's P, or here P that has style, right? As you can see that this P, there are two P's. This P doesn't have style. So if you look element P that has style, it will find only this one because it's unique thing. Only this P on the page has style. Or if they both have, for example, these both elements have the same attribute, but the values are different. In first case, it's awesome place. In another case, it's another place. So if you would like to find this one, you say, okay, I'm looking for element A that has a href that equal to awesome place. And this is unique selector as well. So even if you don't have ID, there are ways to find other elements. Or if you're not even looking for a tag, but specific element that has specific attribute, you just copy this square brackets part. So what I'm looking for is my element in here. Oh man, where is that? Over here has unique alt attribute. So I'm going to copy it fully. Control A, Control C. So this is unique attribute and unique value. Any non-elements have the same on this page. So I'm going to use it just to find this element and make sure that it's displayed. So I'm going here, and instead of this, I'm going to put square brackets according to this guide, right? Or I can use EMG with alt text equal to this. Let me go over here. Yeah, if I'm looking for specific tag with specific attribute, I put the tag and the attribute and the value in square brackets. Let me just copy this completely and just replace by what I need. So I'm just copy the entire string with the quotes, and I put it in my code in here. Just replace the entire thing like this. But I'm looking for EMG, right? Where the attribute alt equal to something. So I'm going to copy it. Going to here, I'm going to copy it again. Double click, select all, copy, and alt equal to this. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. And I just need to replace this part. Alt equal to this. So I'm looking for EMG tag where alt is equal to this. Or I can even remove EMG from here because I'm looking for any element where alt is equal to this. It will also work because that is unique element that has this alternative text. So let me run it and see if it will be able to find that image. It should be because that's unique selector. And just to repeat, I don't remember, as you can see, how to exactly type every selector. I just have this guide. I have my over here JS folder where I'm storing like different JavaScript related things. And as you can see, one of my bookmarks is using CSS selectors because I'm going there pretty often. When I'm looking for some elements, selectors, I'm going to this resource pretty often. So it's not about you remembering everything. It's just about saving this guide, and just whenever you need to find something which is difficult, you don't have ID, you go here and you try to use one of those approaches to find your unique element. But in most of the cases, what I encourage people to do, you have to ask developers to create IDs. You just tell them, hey guys, IDs are a must-have for the destination. It's the best way to save my time and my team's time, because if you have multiple people working on your website, and imagine, right, you have 10 people, 10 automation engineers, and you don't have IDs. And like most of the time, what you're doing, you're going to this website, you're trying to find a way to find that element on that page because it doesn't have ID. It doesn't have something unique. So you're trying to find something unique, which is the combination of parent and child, right? Combination of the attributes, and so on. You try to find what is working for you to find that element on the page. And you will be spending a lot of time just for doing that. And all of your colleagues. And you try to run it, it doesn't work. You go here again and you try to find another way to find that element. You try it, you run it, it doesn't work. You try third method and so on. You spend a lot of time just to find that element on the page. But imagine that you have ID. You have ID, you just put £, ID value, and that's it. That's all you need to do. You remember that ID, for IDs, you use £, and that's it. You don't have to use anything else. And if you have IDs, you don't care about anything else. So you ask developers, you explain them, hey guys, you will save a lot of time for my team and a lot of money for the company, because the company will be paying for us just going to this resource and looking for different selectors. But if you add IDs, for you, it's a second when you create a new element. For me, it may be 30 minutes when you don't do that, right? So please create IDs because it saves our time and saves company money, because we will be able to do more and we'll be able to find elements quicker, do more, and save company money, because for the same amount of time, we'll be able to do more, right? So this is how it works. So always ask developers to add IDs, and then you will have IDs, and you will not have to go and look for some specific attributes. You just look for ID. As you can see, we have ID. So I'm going to replace my selector by just ID, which is line image, and don't worry about anything else. Okay, so let's go here, do here. So what I should put before ID? What sign? Come on, help me, guys.
Hash.
This guy, £, or hashtag, right? Somebody says hashtag, and just the ID value, and that's it. This is how I will find image. So let me copy, let me paste. I will be also looking for table, and also I will need to check the button is displayed. Line, the button is like line button. Let's call it line button to not type that long title of that button, because it's get in line button. It's long title. So how to do that? I will going to look for this, for example, button over here. It has button, class, ID, line, add button. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste it. As you can see, just a copy paste. I copied its, which is test, and table. I need to also find the table. So I'm going to here. Okay, this is the table. Okay, like this probably. Okay, where is the table? I don't see. Maybe I need to go inside. No, over here. Over here. Table container, table. Okay, finally got a table. Table. Here it is. ID line table. Copy. Paste. And that's it. So I have title, image, table, and button. Let me quickly run it and see that the elements are displayed. So the elements are displayed. Okay. Okay. Good. So all of them are displayed. Let me then create another describe. So I'm going just to copy this guy. Copy. Paste. So element values. I'm going to check the values of those elements are correct. For example, the text of the title. Title, text. Title, text. Text. I'm going to remove these its. I don't need them for now. And and there is another actually cool feature in VS Code. You can hover over here and close describe. Close describe, right? We finished them, so we don't need to have them open, and it saves my space, right? I see the first line of the file, and I close them, and I just see my describe I'm working on right now. Okay, so title. So how to do that? So let's find something something, some function to check the title text. So I'm going directly to expect because expect has a method to check the text or to have text. Expect element to have text. I'm going to copy this and just replace whatever I need to. Okay, and I did need this. I'm going to replace this. Okay, so here it is. So I'm going to replace the selector. They were using class, as you can see, right? We're going to use ID. So we already have IDs. For the text, it's here. Oh, I'm going to copy this entire thing to find this element. Line title. So line title. An element to have text. And where is my expected text? I'm going to go and copy it from the website. Oh. From here. Like this. Copy. Okay, and paste. Okay, good. Oh, actually, this is actually bad. It will start failing. And who can tell me why potentially this test will start failing soon? We have an idea? Okay. I will ask another question. Does this text will be always like this, or it will change?
It will be changed because it will be in 3 lines, not on 1 line. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one thing. That's correct. So probably there will be 3 different elements. So I will need to find line number 1 and check that line number 1 has that, line number 2 has that, and line number 3 has that. So I will need 3 tests. So yes, probably you're right. So this is one thing. Any other thoughts? Why this text will change? Especially for those guys who are familiar with requirements and who tested that manually. What will change in this text?
X people, not only.
Yes. So for example, if we add 1 more person, the text will be, there are 26 people in the line, right? And it will say, okay, you expected 25 people and we received 26, and it will fail. It will show the difference, actually. We can do that. So let's say 25. Let me run it once. Let's make sure that it's working. And just let's manually add 1 person and see if it will start failing, because this is what's going to happen. Yes, so right now it's matching, so it's passing. But once you add 1 more person, test user date of birth, anything, like this, okay, Pfizer, submit, close. Okay, got it. So right now we have 26, and let's run our test again, and now it will fail. Yeah, it's starting to match. As you can see, it's trying, but right now it will fail because it's getting, as you can see, it's showing the result. There are 26 people in the line over here. Right, and yeah, it shows that, hey, expected 25, got 26. Hello, and it will be changing constantly. So what I would do probably, what I'm thinking about is I will use to have text containing, and I will use 2 things. I will use the first part before the number, and I'll also will have separately, we'll check that the part after the number is also there. That element have containing the first part of the text and the last part of the text. So this is what I probably will use. I will copy this guy, and I will need to have 2 checks instead of 1 now. Before the number and after the number. So like this. So I will copy everything before the number into this place and copy paste, and also everything after the number, like this. Yeah. So not text equal, but text containing. Okay, so now I'm ignoring the number. I'm just checking that before the number, if it's there are, and after the number is people in line, right? With the space, of course, as well. And let's run now and see if it works now. And of course, as you mentioned, if there will be 3 lines, so I will add like line by line check. Yeah, right now, as you can see, it's passing, right? And okay, awesome. So what we can check for the image, the only thing that we can check for the image is probably that src is this, or alternative text is this, whatever. We can do that actually. How to do that? Attribute. So let's do that actually. To have attribute over here. Oh, to have attribute. Oh, it's the same actually. The same, but like if I click this, same as to have attribute. Okay, let's copy the full one. So I have my element, and we provide 2, as you can see. We provide the attribute name and the attribute value. So let's do that. Copy and paste it here. Oh, it should be inside of it. So let me just copy this first, create another it for my next test. And I will check title text, not title text, but image attributes. Image attributes. So I need to find the image. Let's do that again. So I am going here. I'm selecting my image. So who can tell me the ID of the image? How can I find this element? What is the ID? Could you please read it, somebody?
Line image.
That is correct. It's line image. And okay, let me remove this. Okay, so if I paste it like this, will it work?
No.
What should I do?
Hashtag.
That is correct. In order to use ID, I am putting £sign over here. Okay, so £sign means ID, a dot means unique class, and just like this means unique tag. So for example, if you have a single button on the page, you can actually use button. You can use button tag. You say button, and it will find this button. Because if there is no any other button on the page, it will just use the single button. So you can use tags, just nothing. You can use class if it's unique class, if it has unique class, or you can use IDs, which is the best way, because those guys are unique, like by default, right? Every ID should be unique. Okay, so what should I check actually? I'm looking for this element, and I'm checking for the attributes because it doesn't have text, it has just unique attributes. So what is the attribute? Okay, so I can check that the source is this. Source is this. Oh, I didn't copy the command. Oh, man. To have attribute, okay, over here. To have attribute. To have attribute. Attribute should be src. src. And it should be equal to something unnamed, right? Unnamed. Can I copy it? Yeah, or like this. And unnamed. So I'm expecting my element. Oh, lm to have attribute as rc equal to unnamed. Like, let's run it just to make sure that it's working fine. And I will add another attribute, which is alt text. That is also should be okay. It's working. So also the same element should have alt attribute to equal to whatever we have there. Whatever is there, it's get in line. Get in line. Okay. Okay, so this is for the image. Table probably doesn't have anything. We will check those guys separately. And let's check the button. Let's check the button. button text or button title. Better to call it title. Button title is I need to find the button and I will get text. It should be to have text. Element to have text and the name of the button. Okay, I need to find the button and I need to replace expected text over here. Okay, so let's do that. Let's copy, inspect. Here's the button ID. Button ID, replace over here. And let's also replace the text of the button, get in line with exclamation mark. So let's check it. Let's run it and check if it works. Oh, something is not working. Why? Because I have uppercase over here. Yes. So I will copy from here. Okay, yes. As you can see, it shows that, okay, page level tests, this describe, passed. Elements displayed, all of them are displayed, passed. Element values, title, text, worked, image attribute worked, and button title didn't work. Because what? We were expecting this, but got this. Everything is uppercase. I'm going to copy because this is correct. And I'm going to paste. This is valid failure. Awesome. Awesome. And good. So I'm done with element values. And let's finally do functionality. It's probably the most interesting one. Let's copy. Let me close this guy. Paste. And this is functionality. Functionality. Okay. Here, I will probably need before because I will need to do some preparation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, so let me clean everything here. Remove these its, I don't need them for now. Okay, so in before, so what I'm going to test? I'm going to test right now. First of all, that I can add, oh man, Safari. I would like to get, we'll be trying to get this number, 26. 26, somehow, interesting how. If it's not in a single, probably I can do somehow to get this number. Then what I'm trying to do, I will try to do, click this, put the first name, last name, birthday, select some vaccine, click submit, then close and make sure, no, I know I don't need this. I will get the list, the amount of people in the line over here. Actually, it's 26 right now. We have 26 lines over here. And I will check that out. I will get the number first. That's why I need to do preparation. In before, I will get the number of people in the table. Then I will add the person, which will be like long test. And then at the end, I will make sure that it was increased by 1. That will be the test. Okay, so let's do that. So first of all, somehow I need to find, oh, there is another way to find not one element, but all elements with the same ID. So let me actually do that on the page. If some elements, they have some specific selectors or same IDs, or there are multiple of them, and you need to find them actually, because there are multiple of those elements, like multiple buttons, multiple entries in the table over here. Let me inspect this. Inspect this. Over here, as you can see, there is a row, table row, 1, 2, and there are like 20, it should be 26 rows over here. And all of them, they have ID, line patient. So if I use, for example, $1 sign over here, it will find the first element with this ID. And by default, it should be one single element anyways. with that unique selector. But if you need to find multiple elements, use $2 signs, and it will find you multiple elements, and it will create array of those elements. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find multiple elements with this ID, because the ID is the same. It's line patient, yeah. So all of those elements, I can actually do this here just to check that I'm right. So I'm going to use this ID, ID, an ID line patient, I believe, right? Line patient. If I use $2, let's try $1 sign, it will find 1, right? 1. Oh, that's bad. Why it selected table header? What if I used multiple dollar signs? $2 signs, it will find 27. 27 because it counts this guy as well. Okay, that's it. I know this, so I will decrease 27 by 1. I will subtract 1 from 27, so I will know the amount of these guys anyways in the table. So let's do this. So I'm getting 26, as you can see, right? 26 elements. So let me copy this command. So in my preparation, I'm going to create variable or constant that's called patience equal to these guys. I'm going to find all of these patients. On this level, I'm going to create variable let not like this. Let me call this array, because this will be array of people, and this patients, and it will be empty for now. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say array, and to get the length or the number of elements in that array, there is a command length. So what I'm going to do and say patients equal to length of this array that I found by using this command. So what is going to happen here? I'm going to find 27 lines, which is header, and 26 patients, and that's going to be array of people, like data type in JavaScript. And the length of that array is a number, which is 27. And I know that 27 doesn't work for me, so I'm going to use -1. And I'm going to put this 27 minus 1, which is 26, into patients. So here in patients, I'm going to have 26, and I will be able to reuse it in this test, right? And so at the end. So at the end, I will need to make sure that the number I'm getting is +1 to what I had before, because I'm going to start with 26 and I'm going to end with 27. Okay, so next test will be button click first. Button click. So I'm going to click the button first. And I'm going to find that button and just click it, which is super simple. I'm going to element, I'm going to click, and this is how it works. Okay, this is optional actually. I can remove it in the middle. So let me show you, just button click. I can remove this. It's just if you would like to click in the middle of the button or any other location of the button, you can add some location of that click, but I just will use the default one, and I need to put selector over here. And which is the ID of that button. And here it is. Here it is. This button has an ID. So like this. So I'm going to click it. The next thing, what I'm going to do, if I click the button, then it should be this pop-up displayed. So I'm going to check that this pop-up is displayed. Where's that? Line at dialog over here. So I'm going to check that it's displayed. So I'm going to again copy the command that I'm already using, which is this element to be displayed, right? And I will just need to replace the ID. So I'm going to button click Okay, I need to copy, create another one. Pop-up displayed. Next step will be pop-up displayed, because the next step is pop-up displayed. I'm going to copy from here, because we were testing that line title is displayed, image is displayed. So this is the same thing, but just ID will be different. It will be for pop-up, and I'm going to replace this by pop-up ID, which is over here, line at dialog, and to be displayed. So actually, let's run it and let's see if it works so far. So I need to click the button, and the pop-up should be displayed, and test should be ended. So let's try. Oh, I even didn't see how it appeared, so fast it was. So let me try another command. Browser pause. And you provide how many milliseconds? Let's say that's 5,000, which is 5 seconds, just to wait explicitly and see what happens. The pop-up is displayed. So let's try to see. But when we click, the pop-up displayed. Yeah, it's displayed. It just closed so far, so we just even didn't see how it closed. Yeah. So actually it works. I'm usually using this command when I need to wait and just visually see what happens. So what happens next? Once we click, we need to set the value into this field, set the value into this field, set the value into birthday field. Pfizer, let it be selected by default, and then let's click submit. This is what we need to do. So let's do that. So let's do set first name. Once it's displayed, let's do set first name. As you can see, I'm just copy pasting. So you don't even need to know how to write it, because you never write it from scratch. You just always just go and copy and paste to create a new text. Then it will be set last name. Then it will be set date of birth. I will do it like this. Date of birth, DOB. Okay, so let's do that. So how to do that? We need to go again. This is for the element. This is element. So we need to go to element. Find there is a set value, something like that. If you don't know, of course, you will never know for the first time. You will have to search through it, but it's set value. You will read that it sends the keystrokes into the input field. So this is the command. Set here, and there are examples actually if you need to. For example, here, input set value over here. So let's do this. Let's copy it from here. Let's paste it and set first name. So for the first name, let's see if we have ID there. ID, blah, blah, blah. Inspect. Yeah, seems like we have an ID. It's first name. Oh, easy ID. So I put this first name and then set value. Let's put it test user. Test. Then same for the last name. Just copy. We need to replace value. It will be user, and this guy will be different. So ID of the last name. Let's hover ID. Yeah, last name. Yeah, I should have predicted that. It's easy. Okay, and date of birth, same thing. Okay. Click like this. Let's go here. Let's inspect it. Oh, it's here. Date of birth field. So date of birth field. So we need to enter. Let's enter something 04, 15, 90. Okay, like this. And yeah, let's put also my lovely browser pause to see if it works. Browser pause, which is 5,000 milliseconds. Okay, almost there. Yes, test user, blah, blah, blah. Everything's here. Good. Good. So we can actually click something else over here, like Moderna, but it will just add extra time. As you can see, I just need to use this name value. I can use value Moderna. Don't they have ID over here? Oh, there is ID. Yeah, I can click on this. So here's the line vaccine Moderna, line vaccine Pfizer. Let's click line vaccine Moderna, for example. So click Moderna. Select Moderna. And then where's the click? Click. Over here. Like this. Select Moderna. Let's remove this browser password here and over here. And just need to replace ID, which is line vaccine Moderna. Okay, line vaccine Moderna. Got it. And then I need to click that button. Click submit. Click submit. Submit. Okay, submit has ID over here. Line submit button. Okay. Line submit button. Then what happens next? What happens next? I click submit. Oh. Moderna, for example, submit. So what we're expecting these fields to be displayed and close button to be displayed. So let's add those tests as well. So we need to check that this field is displayed. Oh, new line ID. Okay. So for example, this. We need to use new ID display. What we need to use is different command over here. Okay, not input. Let's call it element, as we used to call it, element. And let's use correct ID to find that element, which is new line ID for this field. New line ID. New line ID. And we need to expect that to be displayed, which we already did. So for example, over here to be displayed. Oh, super easy. Okay, so we look for this element and check that it's displayed, and also for the same for close button. But for close button has another ID. How to do that? Okay, like this. Button, line, close button. Okay, so we have that. Line close button over here, and I need just to say that close button display. Close button display. Okay, and then at the end we need to click it. It's displayed, and we just need to click it. We just need to click. We have ID already. Line close button. We will click it. What happens next once we click it? Oh, it will be 27. So I need to count elements as well. Count table entries. Oh, or table number increased. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, do the same that I did in preparation and just compare that it increased by 1. So let me do that. So this is the, okay, these guys. So I'm going to use, again, get the array number, create new const new line equal to array length. This is the new one. Array length minus one, of course, because I will get a plus header. And now I need to expect that new line to be more than patients. Okay, so how to do that? Okay, so actually, if I go to expect, you will not find anything like that. You need to scroll down. There is additional library over here that you click. Actually, I'm going to share it with you so you have it handy as well. It has additional methods. And what we're looking for is to equal. To equal. Where's the to equal? To have returns, to be actually also will work. To equal, to be, to have. Oh, where's to equal? Ah, over here, to equal. Yeah, so expect something to be equal to something. Yeah. Okay. So remember, we have that patients number over here, which is 26 was initially. And we need to patients plus 1 to be equal to new line, or vice versa. You need to say that, yeah, patients plus 1 equal to new line, because this should be one more bigger, or you do minus over here. And so, for example, you got 27 users at the end, and initially it was 26. So you do patient new line minus 1. It's what was the patients. So, and this should actually match. So what we're doing here, we're counting patients at the beginning of the test, putting into this variable. So just store it for now, and just doing a lot of the other stuff, just clicking, setting values, clicking the vaccine, clicking submit, waiting for something to be displayed, then clicking that close button, then counting new array of the patients, excluding header. So we get just the patients, the amount of patients, and that new amount of patients should be one more than the old value. So it should be plus over here or minus over here. It doesn't matter, because it should be equal, right? And that's probably it. Let me try to run it. And we did that in 1 minute and 53, 1 hour and 53 minutes. Oh man. Oh, why 0? Why it was 0 initially? Okay, it's interesting because as you can see, so this is expected. So equal expected. This is expected. So we got 27 as expected, which is okay, which is what we're expecting. But why we give patients as 0? This is what I'm not getting. I will need to debug right now and try to understand why it's 0. So patients. So let me do this. Let me do console log array first. Array. I will print array first. Oh, not array, array length. Let's see what I will get over here in the first case. So I just run it. This is how we usually use. We use console log to print something into console, into the terminal. And in terminal, I will see what was the value. Oh, what is this? So many things. Element. Okay, array length -1. Did I do something incorrectly? No, it's same. Why it's not working there? Let's run it again. Maybe it's too quick. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, probably it was too quick. So it was 0. It was 0. So I will probably need to wait for something to be displayed first. So let's wait for that. Let's wait for display. And there is a command, because what you see, if you reload the page, the table is empty for some time, right? That's why we're getting empty 0 first, because the script is very quick. Bumps, and that's it. You go get all the values, and it's getting those values when it's empty. So I need to do what I need to do. I need to probably add wait for display first. If I go here, element, and there is wait for display. Wait for display. Wait for display. Yeah, wait for display. So I will use this command, wait for display. For example, over here, wait for display. And then after that, I will like this. After that, I will get the okay, element. This is the element. I can do the same. Okay, element, one single element is line patient. Then I'm waiting for it to be displayed. How can we format document? I'm not going to wait 3 seconds, like that. So what I'm going to do is just create an element, find that first element, and whenever it's displayed, only then I'm going to create that array and count its length. So let's try that. I'm doing npm t. It should wait for that to be displayed. Yes, now it works, right? So sometimes you just try to figure out why it's 0. And then you run the test, you try to do it manually, and you see that it's empty for some time, for some amount of time. So that's why you need to, first of all, to wait for that to be displayed, then to create array, and then to measure its length, to put it in the patience. And as you can see, it's working right now, because it's increasing right now every time. Right now we have 31. It's changing, right? But it will be always working the same. So this is pretty much it. And good job. 2 hours. Just in 2 hours, we created the framework that in most of the courses on the market, just to let you know, just a secret, inside IT Inside, most of the automation courses, this is what you will learn in like several months. Exactly this. Of course, what we are doing is more complex, but what you will learn in other courses, it's pretty much this. This is the feedback we have from other students like you, because other people like you, they were attending different courses, and they came to the free course, our free course, and they just said, wow, what you just did in 2 hours, I have learned that in 4 months on other courses, right? So the same thing, like hard code, of course. So this is pretty much the start that you do, because everything else that is done is more complex, right? So this is what we start with, and this is hard code, right? You just tell the commands and you just run them. But just to show you the difference, what we do, for example, on our courses, it's not like that. It's way more complex. It has page object model, it has API testing. Just to give an example, what our students do right now on the current course. So test automation. Yeah, so this is test automation. Oh, I will open the test, right? So we have specs. We have different specs. Let's open smoke, for example. Let's open this guy. So as you can see, it has some imports. It has some different structure. There is no like commands, because those commands are in different places. So there is a different folder structure. So they are reused, and they are created in one place, and we are reusing them. For example, instead of using button click, it's stored in one place. So that selector for that button stored in one single place, and you just import it and reuse it in order to save it in one single place. For example, if it changes, you just go to one single place and replace it there, instead of like replacing 1,000 lines of code, right? So page object model, different types of testing, like API testing, for example, right? As you can see, a lot of different strange code, but this is exactly what students do. Students in like just 4 months. API testing, as you can see, right? Yeah, so just to show you, so everything is stored over here in pages, for example, over here, right? So they store expected results in here, in classes, selectors over here, and in methods, you just reuse them. So of course, the real automation framework that, for example, I'm using on my work and I'm building right now, it looks like this. Everything in page object model, everything is reused, and in specs, you just reuse it. So it's way more complex, but it's like additional thing, right? This is what you create manually. There is no like approach like that. So pages structure, how you create pages structure, how you reuse your code, it's absolutely up to you. There is no rules. And the automation framework is this, pretty much is this. So all those commands, hard-coded. If you need to click something, you just click, wait for displayed, you just use wait for displayed. For example, over here, wait for displayed. If you need to click, set value, right, and so on. So everything is pretty much like that. And I think it's very easy because you just have the list of commands to use from the website and you're just using them. Just copying and pasting, creating new describes, which are a set of tests. Let me close them like this. You have it's inside. If you need to prepare something you used before, and that's pretty much it. Super simple. And I think right now you can understand that in, for example, 4 months, it's absolutely possible to learn test automation and to be successful engineer. Oh, I didn't show you something. Yeah, just pull requests that I'm checking right now. For example, these are pull requests that our students are working on. And just to show you an example, one single thing they are working on. For example, I go to files. This was changed by one student, right? Created this function, added some methods over here, like this, right? So students are working on actually tasks, like on the project. You have a project to add something, to cover, to add more tests, to cover new elements, to add new methods, to do something, right? And this is actually what our students are working on right now. So they have actually last week, the last lesson is on Wednesday, but they already are doing whatever is needed for the job because they are just working on the project right now. They are not learning anything new. They already know everything. They just like practice on the project. So this is the project they're working on. They have a board and sprint. And what they do right now actually is just picking the tasks and working on them. For example, the task says, okay, go and rename all the uppercase imports to lowercase imports to uppercase, right? And they go and replace everything, all the specs, make sure that everything is working like the project, right? They work like on the project. They learned everything already, and they just work like on the project. They have API testing, they have regression testing tasks, smoke testing tasks. So just to show you that what possibly can be learned in 4 months. And goal of today's lesson is just to show you that this is what you possibly can learn in 2 hours. So in 2 hours, you can already have absolutely working in functional test automation framework. Yes, it's simple. Yes, it's hard-coded because you can you hard-coded everything well. We are not reusing these IDs. If, for example, if I click the same button multiple times, I'm not saving this in a variable and reuse it. I'm just typing it again and again and again. Yes, it's a simple, but this is pretty much that you can learn on other courses in several months. So, but it can be done actually in 2 hours, just to let you know. So it's simple. What you need to do is just to follow simple guide, because once you installed the framework, once you have it on your computer, that's it. You don't configure it every day. You don't install it every day. You install it once you created for the first time. Then the rest of the time, you create new tests and you create new folders, new files, new its, describe, cover new pages, right? New functionalities. For example, if we test some new functionality, new page, we will add another test. So over here, new file over here that will have, again, describes, its, and everything will be the same. And after that, once you learned all of that, and you know that, okay, I'm kind of not reusing my selectors. How can I reuse them? You go to the next step. Let's create a single place to store the selectors, to have that button be stored in one place and I just reuse it. You do that, right? And then you think about something else. How can I'm clicking, I'm entering the values many times. How can I replace that by one single method that I can call in many places? It will do the same. You do that as well. You go and store one function in one place and you just reuse it instead of like typing it many times. And this is how you do. And that goes step by step. And after that, in like several months, you get what you need. So this is how it works. Okay, guys, amazing work, 2 hours, probably. That was the quickest lesson I had during the previous 3 courses. Cool, awesome. We've done it. In 2 hours, we covered everything on this page. So I'm very, very glad. So far, questions. I know that not all of you were following me, but I'm highly encouraging you to go watch the video recording once it's available and try to do that as well to cover this page with the same test I did. You have a video, so you can just do the same, but practice, because practice means a lot. So for example, we are not accepting any work if you didn't do the homework. You have to do the homework because this is the practice. You can listen during the lesson and say, yes, I understand everything. But then once you start doing the homework, you face problems. And once you face problems and you solve them, this is the only way to learn. Because if you never solve problems, you never solve them, that's it. You will never be a good engineer. So this is what I highly encouraging. Who never who were not following me, guys, please watch the video and try to build the same test as I did. If you're facing problems, screenshot, and in that free August course chat, hey, Arthur, I'm seeing this error message. What should I do? Right? I will send you the command or guide what to do, for example, and you will do that. Or I will see that you didn't put some code or you didn't put a comma somewhere, right? And you will just send me a screenshot and I will tell you, hey, okay, open this file, for example, show me the line number 13, right? And you show me, hey, you missed the quote over there. So if you face problems, that's not a problem. Just send me a message in the chat and we will solve it. But please go and try to do it on your side and you will really understand it and learn it. And you will be able just to continue, right? If you want to go and cover another website, go and do that. Go and create another test file, navigate to another URL, go and do something there. So it's up, everything is up to you. But my goal was today just to show you that it's pretty easy, because right now the development, not only automation, but development is only using the predefined commands that the other developers prepared for you. Because right now everything consists of modules. You never develop anything from scratch. You never use native API of the browser with those complex and huge commands. You just have command click and it will click it for you. You have command set value, it will set value of that into that input field for you. You don't have to think about anything else. So everything is pretty much simple. You install WebDriver.io, you configure it and start using those simple commands. And that's it. Nothing is difficult. And development actually as well. You install React, which is also Node.js based framework. The commands will be different. You will be typing npm install React instead of npm install WebDriver.io, but also it will be installed the same. It will have package.json. It will have different folder structure, but it will also give you the list of commands that you can use, and you will be building your React application based on those commands. So pretty much development right now looks like this. And after the course, you should be a test automation engineer. Actually, right now we call the people like that as a software development engineers in test, because everybody wants to be a software developer, right? So people who used to call themselves automation engineers, right now they call themselves as software development engineers, like you software developer in test, right? Everybody wants to be a developer. Yeah, so this is it for today. Questions, guys? Questions or impressions, whatever.
I have a question. Is it possible? Is it possible to automate all these test cases, and is it necessary to strip for it?
Okay, could you repeat it again? Is it possible to automate all the test cases, or what did you mean? Could you repeat that? Pardon?
Yes. Is it possible to automate all test cases, and is it necessary to go for it, to strip for it?
Actually, the answer is no, probably. There are some test cases that you cannot automate. For example, there are some, I'm not sure if I will be able to see it. Yeah, this is called placeholder, for example, inspect, input. Oh, I don't see play. Oh, probably it's defined by the class. Yeah, so we are not able to see, for example, placeholder by the automation, and you can just check that there is a placeholder tag into input field, like attribute. You can check the attribute is there, but you're not able to check the color, for example, the size of this placeholder, right? So there are some limitations. And sometimes there is something low that has a low priority. For example, if this is not displayed, it's not a big deal, right? If this icon is not displayed over here, it's not a big deal. And if even if it's not displayed, you will report a bug, but the priority will be very, very low because it doesn't break anything. The functionality remains the same. Users will be able to add themselves to the line and everything will be working. The only problem will be that the icon is not displayed over there, right? So it's not a big deal. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to spend time on such kind of test cases. You always prioritize. You say, okay, I will build first the higher priority test cases, right? What is like the main flow? What is adding people to the line in this case will be higher priority because this is the main functionality. It should be you should be able to add the person to the line, select vaccine, and make sure that that person appeared in the list. So this is the main functionality, right? Then once you covered this, you go to the lower level test. For example, checking the values of the text, then checking something less and less important. And you often just doesn't have time you just don't have time to cover everything, right? So because you have more work to do. So mostly you just cover the most important test cases. And that's it. This is how it works because you're working hard. There are a lot of things to do. Developers are quickly developing many things and you need to cover them. So you focus on the important things first. And sometimes it's not possible to do something. Sometimes it's possible, but it's difficult. And it just doesn't work, right? Sometimes you would like check something very, very important, very, very less important, and then you have to spend 2 days for that. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. So you decide, okay, I'm not spending time on this. I will switch to something else, right? So it depends. There is no unique answer for this, universal answer for this, because it depends on the project. It depends on the amount of work you have. It depends on many things. Of course, if you start, you usually have a lead, you have a manager, and they will be answering those kind of questions. You say, hey, does it make sense to cover this? And they will say, no, it doesn't make sense. So you skip it, right? So usually there are people who will help you to decide what to do. And if you start as a first test automation engineer, you will decide. You will say, hey, logically it doesn't make sense. I will not cover it. I will cover just main functionalities for now. And once I'm done with that and I have enough time, I will cover something else. If I do that and I have enough time, I will probably cover everything else, which is least important, and so on. So you focused on the most important thing first, and then go to the less important and less important and less important. This is how it works usually. So of course, you are not covering everything. You're covering the main functionalities first, and everything else based on your availability and how much time do you have. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I understand.
Any other questions, guys? Okay, then no questions. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be asking them in the chat if you have any in the future. So if you have any question, post them in the chat in Slack. I will be happy to answer. And on Thursday, don't forget that on Thursday we have the last lesson, maybe the last one. I will ask Sergey, maybe he wants to also do some lesson for React and show you how to build React from scratch, which will be pretty much similar to what we did today. But you will be installing React instead of WebDriver.io, and instead of like automation and creating test cases, you will be just building the page with some elements on it, right? Something like that, which is super easy as well. So just to show you that the React is easy as well. So I will ask him if he's available. So probably you will have another lesson, which is React. And yeah, but on Thursday, there will be a very important lesson about resume and interview, just to give you some feedbacks and give you some insights on how to build a cool resume, give you some templates, and give you some ideas how to go and pass the interview successfully. Some tips, interview tips, something like that. Okay, so see you on Thursday. And thank you guys for participating. Thank you for those who was, thank you for following me, Nadia, or maybe somebody else was following me as well. And yeah, if you were not following, highly encouraging you guys to open the video, watch it, and try to follow me after that to build your test automation framework, because it's very easy. Once you do that first, one time, then second time, it will be super easy then for you, and you will become test automation engineer instead of like just manual person or nobody at all, for example, right? So yeah, just do that. Just do that. You have everything you need just to do that. And if you're not sure, facing some problems, just send me a message and we will be solving that together. Okay. Thank you and see you next time. Bye-bye.